Sunless Skies is the next game from Fail Better Games, who are famously known for their great storytelling, writing, and narratives in the Fallen London universe, which is a browser-based game. Back in 2013, the developers wanted to expand out, both figuratively and literally, trying to create more of a gameplay loop around their storytelling. And they performed and successfully did the Kickstarter for Sunless Seas. And that game ended up being a very polarizing title, combining again their narrative and heavy prose with more of a roguelike or randomized nature. Now with Sunless Skies, the developers have gone further, and while it isn't perfect, I think they're starting to dial in this kind of gameplay loop. So, with the footage on screen, a lot of this is more on the slow side, and we'll talk more about that later on in this piece. But the general plot of the Fallen universe is that many years ago, London sank into a mysterious cavern deep beneath the Earth's surface, and the people there basically started their lives anew in a world of mysticism, steampunk, Lovecraft, and all that other lovely, great, mysterious stuff. Sunless Seas was a spiritual sequel taking place in the Untersee, I did pronounce that right, of Zailers, again still pronouncing that right, being in the cavern and exploring for trade, goods, and trying not to go insane and eat each other. Sunless Skies takes things from the Untersee to, I guess, the Unterspace? I'm not sure what the actual term is this time. But we are using our steam-powered flying space locomotives, that's a sentence I didn't think I would ever have to say, to explore the mysterious cavern. The game is split at the moment into 4 distinct areas, starting out in the Reach, which is kind of no man's land. As with Sunless Seas, the general gameplay remains pretty consistent. It's your job to explore, keeping track of fuel, goods, as well as your terror rating, that's that lovely ominous skull in the bottom left, and trying to make a name for yourself. While there is a brief kind of plot at the start, you are free to track your own progress around different ambitions or endgame goals. All the while, you're trying to find more resources, discover new points of interest, and of course, learn more of the delectable story that Fail Better excels at. Now, the core gameplay loop remains pretty similar from Sunless Seas, as the world itself is procedurally built every time you start a new game. The various spaceways are going to be randomly moved around and altered, while you have these hard-coded points of interest, which are randomly placed throughout the map. If you die, when you restart, you'll be given some of your resources, but you'll still remain on that same map, unless you start a game completely from scratch. Now, to make any progress, you're going to be exploring to find the various ports, and take on trading opportunities, which in turn will earn you sovereigns, which are the game's currency. While you will be spending a lot of resources in terms of fuel and supplies, the main point will be trying to buy new hardware for your locomotive or buying new trains in general with improved stats and options to them. And this is very much Fail Better's MO, in the sense that you're going to be unlocking new elements, which in turn greatly grows what you can and can't do within the universe. It's the same thing we saw with Seas, same thing with Fallen London, and we can even see a similar aspect with Cultist Simulator, which was designed by former founder of Fail Better Games, I believe that's what his title was, Alexis Kennedy. And as you've seen so far with the footage, exploring is done entirely in real time, as you dodge roll in space with a locomotive to avoid enemies, rival marauders, and other mysterious things. Now, with that said, a lot of your time is going to be spent wandering around here, looking for additional points of interest, things to interact with, etc. And when it's time to interact, a lot of that is determined by your core stats. And those are elements that you choose at the beginning of the game, and you grow as you play further in. At the start, when you choose your own captain background, this determines what your core stats are. And just like with Fallen London and Sunless Seas, you'll have different ratings in Hearts, Mirror, Iron, and I think a few other ones as well. And what ends up happening is during the game itself, you'll run into events that will have a probability based on a respective stat. And you'll be able to improve things as you level up along the way. But typically, you're not going to be able to succeed at everything. Likewise, you also have to pick your, as we said earlier, your ambition, which determines what endgame goal you want to pursue. And if you do have to restart, you'll create a brand new captain, give them a lovely beard or whatever, as you see me doing right here. But for the most part, you're going to be spending your time wandering the spaceways here, as my lumbering locomotive is demonstrating. And I think with that, it's time to talk about a few of the polarizing elements that we see with Sunless Skies that were also there in Sunless Seas. And what may drive a lot of people away before they can really dig deep into the game. But as always, a quick word to our Patreon supporters, and we'll be right back. Thank you to our Patreon backers, and if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, check out our Discord channel, linked down below. When it comes to Sunless Skies and the formula Fail Better has set into it, the game can be very polarizing for new players. And this has been an issue I think they've had since pretty much early on with getting Sunless Seas out. And that's the fact that it is very easy to lose in this game. From the word go, you're going to be burning fuel and supplies, and it becomes very hard at the start to be able to recoup the costs. I believe it's about 60 sovereigns just for one fuel and 1 point of supplies, and you're going to need several to actually be able to explore around. And at the beginning of the game, you really don't have the options needed to make a lot of money. And typically the first things you're going to do are going to be exploring for the various ports to gain port reports, which can be turned in for favors and sovereigns. One thing that I do like about Skies compared to Seas is the fact that the trading bargains and requests kind of act as another pseudo sub-quest that you can do to earn money early on. But it's still dependent on finding the ports. If you get unlucky with the world generation, the ports are too far away or you can't find them, that can make life a lot harder for you. And the beginning of the game is already hard enough. Now the game does give you different difficulty sliders for combat and resource management if you want to tweak things in that area. Speaking about combat, I really did enjoy the faster take of using the locomotive and having more of those real-time or gameplay elements to it next to the storytelling that, again, Fail Better is known for. But with all that said, Sunless Skies is a tough game to really review. Due to its pacing and, again, how hard it can be to start out, this is a game that can be very much love it or hate it. And that's what I've heard from a lot of my friends who have played this. And again, very similar to Cultist Simulator. That you are either going to love this game and all of its unique quirks and storytelling, or you are going to bounce off hard from it. And I'm sure a few of you watching this probably fall into either one of those camps. For me, I do enjoy this game, and again, they're getting closer, I think, to that magic formula of having the gameplay and the action tying it to the storytelling and the progression. And this is definitely, I think, closer to it than Sunless Seas were. And for longtime fans of Fail Better who have played both games, I'm curious what you think about that statement. But with that said, to wrap things up for this first look, If you never played any of the games from Fail Better, definitely give Sunless Skies a try. It is such a unique take on this kind of open exploration, I don't want to say sandbox, but maybe more open world structure. And I would love to see them maybe have more gameplay or more elements that you can do while exploring. Maybe take a page from some of the variety of tasks and options we see in a space sim. If they can bridge that while still making it accessible and with their storytelling, there could be a lot of potential here. But with that said, we're going to end the video here. If you want to see more of Sunless Skies here on the channel and enjoy my little, traveling around the cosmos here, let me know in the comments below. But I would like to thank Fail Better for giving me a press key. I'm going to try getting them back on for a cast because it's been a while. But again, be sure to check the game out on Steam and I think on most digital platforms as well. And as always, come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Once again, this has been Sunless Skies, and I will see you all for our next video. If you're looking for another book about game design, be sure to check out my first title, 20 Essential Games to Study, out now. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel linked down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.